My name's Ben, I'm an addict.
Hi Ben.
I'm a very grateful addict today, to this fellowship and to the people in these rooms. I don't know where to start. This has just been put on me, by the way, so I do apologise, but my good friend Dave over there pulls up and says, "Oh, you're doing the share tonight." I'll tell you a little bit about my background. Of how I ended up in Cocaine Anonymous. I was born into quite a large family. My mum's an alcoholic, my dad was a workaholic, worked away a lot, and from a very young age I used to be able to get away with quite a lot because my mum was always drunk, so out late at night and skipping school and stuff like that. Looking back now, my problems for me started when I started to come into my teens. I'm dyslexic, my reading and writing's really bad, or was. It's improved a lot since I've been in recovery. So in school, if I was asked a question or put on the spot with something in class, my reaction would be to punch someone, throw something across the room to get myself out of that situation. So going through school, I'd done about 3 or 4 years in the whole of my school career. I was kicked out of school at 13, 14, and that for me was the green light. I started to smoke weed and started to take pills at 13, 14, started to go to a lot of raves. I'm going to say this, he's not going to like it, but I used to look up to Dave. We were from the same area, and there was always this group of kids who used to hang outside the shops, and they'll be drinking Red Stripe, 2020 Mad Dog, and smoking weed, and he was one of them, and that's what I aspired to be. Yeah, look at us. And that's what I set out to be. It looked really, really attractive. It looked really attractive to me. Do you know what I mean? I didn't have anybody to answer to. Like I say, my dad worked away. My mum was always drunk. So, that's what I'd done. And I'd done that for quite a few years. Got in trouble a lot with the police. Nothing too serious. Petty crimes. And, there wasn't really any consequences in my using at that time. Looking back now, in hindsight, I only know this by looking back and getting clean and sober. My real problem started when my parents paid for me to go to Magaluf for my 18th birthday with my cousins and a group of friends. And out that whole week, I remember getting to Luton Airport. I remember waking up on the Wednesday evening in my hotel room being sick. And I remember the horrendous flight home with no one talking to me. And I was 18. And I promised everybody then that I was going to slow down with my drinking and my using. And looking back now, that's not a normal 18-year-old's behaviour. We'd never touched coke before. The pill dealer started selling coke, and we'd planned this one night round my mate Chris's house, and we all brought half. And I remember clear as day, I opened this half and I looked, and I'd never touched it. I'd seen it on telly, penthouses and fast cars and snorting cocaine and stuff like that, and it looked really attractive. But I looked at this half and I thought, you know what, that ain't going to be enough. I just knew that wasn't going to be enough. So, we done what everybody does. We racked up a few lines, we chatted shit, we all become MPs. I've got your back, bruv, I've got your back, bruv, we all become close friends. And within a couple of hours, I've made an excuse to go and get some more beer from the off licence. But what I'd done was I'd text the dealer and I wanted some more gear. So from the first time of me using cocaine, it wasn't enough. And one, it wasn't enough. And two, I was already lying about the amount I was using to other people. And from that day, it was all right for the next couple of years. I was one of them. We'd go out. I'd be the idiot running around on Sunday morning or Monday morning, as it were, at half 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, trying to get some more gear where everyone else had gone to bed. And I'm thinking they're all boring fuckers. But really, what they were doing, they were growing up. They were going to work. They were getting into relationships. They were getting houses, and they were doing life. And I couldn't see it like that. And I thought I was having fun. Because, like I say, there was no consequences. In this time, I'd met a girl, and she knew what I was like, and we had a daughter, and she was going to stop me. She was going to stop my using. I promised her, and I promised my parents and everybody that when my daughter's born, I'm not using anymore. That is it. I nearly missed the birth of her because I was using, and then I had to celebrate because she was born. And that lasted up till 6 months. When I come home from a 3-day bender, my partner at the time answered the door and she said, "Ben, it's us or the drink or drugs." And that was 9 years ago. I don't get to see my daughter anymore through this stuff, you know, through my addiction. But I thought I was making that choice, you know. From then, that was a green light for me. I had no one else to answer to, and you know, I become very quickly a lone wolf in my using. My using was very, very glamorous. I used to sit in lay-bys in a bright yellow van, right, with Demolition on it, with the radio on mute, looking for the fucking bush ninjas that weren't there, right? So I'd do a couple of lines and then the paranoia would set in, and then I'd have to go to another lay-by. I remember I'd done 11 lay-bys in one night through paranoia, and it was hard work. Looking back now, I think, how the fuck did I do it? I didn't know a way out. And do you know what? I couldn't see a way out without using, you know. It scared me to stop. You know, I've become a daily user of cocaine and alcohol. I couldn't function without it. I had to have it in the morning. You know, and a typical day for me would I'd wake up in my work van, you know, I'd have a line, I'd go to work, it'd get to about 11:30, 12 o'clock, and I'm thinking, you're not going to use tonight, and by 3 o'clock I forgot how bad I felt the night before, and then by 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock I'm driving home and I'm thinking, don't use, you're not going to use, just have a night off, and as I'm saying it, I'm texting the dealer, you know, don't do it. And then when I get there, my head says, just get a half. Well, for the first time I used, I never got a half, right, but I'm still believing that lie, so I get there and I say, can I have 2 grams? And then I'm off again, you know, I'm back in that lay-by, and it was just a lot of hard work. Fast forward 7 years ago, 7 years ago, you know, I was at a point, I was suicidal. In this time I'd been sectioned, I felt quite comfortable on a mental institution. You know, that's the insanity of it, you know, I felt quite at home with a load of people dribbling high off their tits on medication, you know, I felt all right there. I was quite scared to be let out. 7 years ago I met my now partner, and you know, I told her I was 6 months clean, and I was about a week clean, and you know, she thought I was great, you know, and I was doing all this spiritual stuff, and I was going to meetings and listening to great shares, and then I was telling her like about Matey Boy's share, just like making it sound like it was from me, and it was all good. Anyway, I lo and behold, I relapsed, and for the next 3 years, I put her and our now kids through absolute fucking hell. I used to get paid on a Friday, and you know, I'd get paid, I'd pick up, and I'd go to the nearest lay-by, and that's where I'd be. And by 7, 8 o'clock, I'd get, you know, my phone would be ringing and text messaging. I know what you're up to, babe, but please can you drop some money off so I can get some food for the kids, or we've run out of electric, or we've got no gas, you know. And me being a selfish and self-centred person, because I'm in a lay-by on my own, I feel and think that I'm not hurting anybody else because they're not with me. The truth is that I am, and I was, you know. But when you're in that madness, you don't think like that, or I don't think like that anyway. Can't speak for anybody else. You know, what my addiction took me to was robbing my parents' house of jewellery and money and stuff like that. You know, I used to go around my mum and dad's house, and I'd knock on the door, and I'd watch my mum walk past the bay window, walk upstairs with my dad's car keys, his wallet, whatever valuables were around. They'd go upstairs, lock it in the bedroom, and then she'd come back down and she'd let me in, and then I'd have to sit there and they'd watch me like a hawk. If I went to the toilet, my dad would stand at the bottom of the stairs while I went to the toilet, you know. I pushed and slapped my now partner around when she was 6 months pregnant because she wouldn't give me the last £30 that she wanted to buy food for the kids, because I wanted that for drugs. You know, that's the sort of person that I become when you put one inside me. You know, I didn't know what was wrong with me. I'd been in and out of these rooms I'd tried these rooms so many times, but I was always a member of the Monday Club. You know, I'd had a heavy weekend, so I was always going to a Monday meeting. I'd never using again. And then by Tuesday, Wednesday, I'd forgot how bad the weekend was, right? So, and then it's a good idea, I'll have a use. And I just couldn't figure out what to do. You know, I used to lay awake at night and I'd pray to a God that I didn't believe or understand in, that I wouldn't wake up the next day, because I didn't want to live. I didn't want to go through that next day, because I knew what that next day entailed. Lying, cheating, stealing, feeling less than, you know, right across the border. So I used to pray that I wouldn't wake up, you know, and when I woke up, I used to be absolutely fucking distraught with myself. because I knew what I had to do, and I'd promised myself that I weren't going to use, and I'm just going to get that half to take the edge off. Or once you put that one inside me, I'm off and running, and there's nothing or nobody going to stop me. Fast forward just over four years ago, I got to a place where externally I hadn't lost everything. I still had my missus, the kids, my car, my house. I still had my job, but what I didn't have was in here. I was absolutely fucking dead inside. And I rung someone up who is still in the fellowship. I rung someone up who I knew was doing this stuff, because he used to put spiritual stuff on Facebook when I was sitting in the lay-by at 3 o'clock in the morning, like CA's great and all that, and I'd think, fuck off, it never worked for me. So I rung this man up and I said, look, I need some help. I'm absolutely done. And because I tried it before, he said, Ben, what's going to be different this time? And I said, I don't know. And he said, everything. Because whatever you've tried before has not worked. And that's what I set about doing. That is what I have done. We went through the steps quickly. The steps for me allowed me to become a human being, become an adult, become a father, become a son. It become a way of life, going through the steps. And all I was asked was, once you go through this, pass this on to someone like I have done for you, and I've tried to do that on a daily and weekly basis that I've been around. I've tried to be of service to everywhere and everything since I've been around. Today my life is absolutely beautiful. It really is. Being in recovery, I don't know who's been through the steps or who hasn't, and how clean you are, but going through and being in recovery is not always a bed of roses. Life will throw shit at you. We nearly lost my son 2.5 years ago. We spent 6 months in hospital with him. He was really, really poorly. He still has problems now, but nowhere near as bad as what he was. And the reason I say this is because it's just a testament to the programme of how it can be and what you can fall back on, Not once did I think about using. Not once. I took my mum into a detox just over a year ago. She got almost a year sober. She relapsed a couple of months ago. She's now a couple of weeks sober again after doing another detox. I've been able to be there for her. I'm able to be a dad today. God's got my back in a massive way. It's a God of my understanding, and my understanding of God is that He's got my back when I've got His. All I have to do is have a bit of faith. My back went last August at Camp Vention, and I've had problems ever since. I've got prolapsed discs in my lower spine that I can't feel my legs. And I can't feel my feet, I can feel my shins. I'm in constant pain. It's only been 2 days that I've had my urine bag off because I lost full control of my bladder. I didn't know when I was peeing. I've just spent 4.5 weeks in hospital, and even being in there, I'm still making phone calls, I'm still talking to people, I'm still talking to newcomers, I'm still being of service in and where I can be, Not once have I thought about using. As a result of getting a sponsor and going through these steps, I've got an absolute beautiful life today, and it's not perfect, and it's thrown some stuff at me. Do you know what I mean? But I wouldn't change it for the world. I really, really wouldn't. And for everything I've been through, I sit here now, a very proud man, that I'm over 4 years clean and sober. And I've had a sleeve, I've had my arm tattooed, because this is where I used to self-harm on this arm, but I won't have these 4 scars tattooed over, and the reason being is, when I'm having a difficult day in recovery, I look at that and I think that was a fucking bad day, right? When I'm on a multi-storey car park and I'm cutting myself, that was a bad day. What I'm doing today is going through a difficult day. But the beautiful thing about it is I don't have to drink and use on it. I don't have to have them suicidal thoughts. And I've done nothing magical. I've got a sponsor. I've gone through these steps. I've had a spiritual awakening. And I just tried to carry this message the best I can to the people who are willing to listen. You've got to have willingness, and that's what I was missing before. It's a program of action, and I was one of them who would sit at the back of the meeting and not want to do anything, or sit next to someone who's a couple of years sober and clean and sober, maybe rub arms and walk out of there a year clean. It doesn't fucking work. The only time this has worked for me is when I put some action in, got honest, and like I say, I've got an absolute beautiful life today. If you are new in here, if you're going through the steps, just get through them. If you haven't got a sponsor, get one. Don't think about getting one, just get one. And there's a promise in that book of a life beyond your wildest dreams. I thought a life beyond my wildest dreams was loads of money, cars, and stuff like that. And it's not. It's having a sense of peace in here. It's about the ability to put my head on a pillow at night and not have to worry about where I'm getting that next 20 quid from, to use. Not only have I recovered, but my family have recovered. My kids have recovered, my parents have recovered. I'll just say this one more thing. 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had £17 in my account because I've been off work since Christmas, and I don't get paid to be off. I've got 4 kids at home and a missus and a house and stuff, and a couple of good friends of mine in the fellowship, they set a GoFund up for me, and within 2 weeks there was £1,300 put in there for me and my family, of people in recovery, people that I don't even know, and that's what I love about this stuff. It's the unity of, and I've got really good friends who have picked me up and taken me to meetings because I can't drive. They've picked me up, they've put my wheelchair in, and they've taken me to meetings. The daily text messages that I've had, are you okay? Do you need anything? It's what we do here, we don't shoot our wounded, whether you're going through a hard time or just relapsed and back out though, We're here for each other, and that's a beautiful thing about this, and this is what I really love about CA. I hope someone got something from that. I'll leave it there. Thank you.